On January 23, 1960, two men descended into a darkness so complete that no human eyes had ever witnessed it. Jacques Piccard, Swiss engineer carrying his father's dream, and Don Walsh, U.S. Navy captain risking his career, piloted the bathyscaphe Trieste to Earth's deepest point, Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench, nearly 11 kilometers below the Pacific's surface. At that crushing depth, pressure exceeding 1,000 atmospheres, enough to compress steel into fragments, they peered through a tiny porthole and saw something impossible, a flatfish swimming across the ocean floor. Life existed where physics suggested only sterile void. Their 20-minute observation at the bottom proved humanity could reach the planet's most extreme environment. Every fiber optic cable crossing ocean trenches, every deep submersible built since, every understanding of life's boundaries, all trace back to that single Cold War-era dive, proving the impossible was merely difficult. Jacques Piccard carried weight beyond his own body when he descended into the Mariana Trench. His father, Auguste Piccard, had pioneered both high-altitude balloon exploration and deep-sea submersible design, establishing a family legacy of pushing into environments that killed humans instantly without technological protection. Where Auguste dreamed and designed, Jacques would execute and prove. Night bathyscaphe, literally deep boat, represented Auguste's engineering philosophy, buoyancy, rather than cables. Unlike the bathysphere that dangled helplessly from surface ships, the bathyscaphe carried its own buoyancy control, using gasoline tanks for lift and iron ballast for descent. Drop the ballast. Rise to safety. Retain ballast. Sink deeper. Simple physics. Elegant solution. But designing the concept and proving it at Earth's deepest point were entirely different challenges. Jacques Piccard's 1956 tour of American research institutions promoted bathyscaphe capabilities to a nation interested less in pure science than Cold War competition. The Soviet Union was launching satellites, developing submarine technology, pushing boundaries in every domain that suggested technological superiority. When Piccard demonstrated that his father's bathyscaphe Trieste could reach depths no other vessel could survive, U.S. Navy admirals recognized opportunity. Not just for oceanographic research, though that mattered, but for proving American engineering could match or exceed Soviet capabilities in any environment. The Navy purchased Trieste, recruited Don Walsh as military liaison and pilot, and began systematic preparation. This wasn't scientific curiosity alone driving decision-making. This was Cold War pragmatism. Demonstrate dominance in ocean depths as forcefully as competitors demonstrated dominance in space. Walsh brought military discipline and submersible experience. Piccard brought engineering insight and family legacy. Together, they formed partnership necessary for attempting what seemed suicidal. Trieste's 1957 Mediterranean campaign provided essential validation, 26 dives to 3,200 meters depth. Not merely testing equipment, but establishing operational procedures, identifying failure modes, learning what worked and what killed. Every dive taught lessons. Every surface return proved survival was possible. Systematic risk reduction through methodical testing, the only rational approach to exploring environments that offered no second chances. Titanium technology provided crucial advantage. Where steel pressure vessels added crushing weight, titanium offered superior strength to weight ratio. Lighter hulls meant more buoyancy margin, deeper capabilities, better performance. The material science breakthrough enabling Challenger deep access wasn't dramatic revelation, but incremental improvement, better alloys, more precise forging, superior manufacturing techniques, progress measured in percentage points rather than revolutionary leaps. But 11 bathyscaphe beathing emission parameters were clear, reached Challenger Deep, approximately 11,000 meters. The deepest charted point in Earth's oceans. Observe what existed there. Surface alive. Success meant proving human capability. Failure meant death and technological embarrassment during an era when both carried strategic implications. The pressure on Piccard and Walsh extended beyond ocean depths to geopolitical competition. Creating a vessel capable of surviving 1,000 atmospheres pressure required engineering precision, measuring success in fractions of millimeters and material purity percentages. At Challenger Deep, every square inch of surface area faces crushing force equivalent to a fully loaded truck. Imperfect welds don't leak gradually, they fail catastrophically. Pressure differential turning tiny imperfections into explosive breaches. Titanium vacuum forging addressed this challenge through extreme manufacturing precision. Forging in vacuum environment eliminates contaminants that create weakness points in metal structure. Each titanium pressure sphere begins as highest purity material science can achieve, then undergoes processes designed to maintain that purity through fabrication. The result, metal whose strength approaches theoretical maximums rather than settling for practical approximations. DNV-GL Classification Society oversight ensured every weld met standards developed through decades of maritime engineering failure analysis. Not merely meeting specifications, but exceeding them, building safety margins into structures where failure meant death. Independent inspectors monitored fabrication, verifying that welders followed procedures exactly, that materials met purity requirements, that quality control caught problems before they became catastrophes. X-ray inspection of every weld revealed what human eyes couldn't detect: internal voids, incomplete fusion, contamination inclusions. Any imperfection flagged for repair or rejection. The inspection process sounds tedious, bureaucratic, excessive, until you remember that at 1,000 atmospheres, microscopic flaws become fatal weaknesses. Careful examination saves lives. Hydrostatic testing pushed completed pressure vessels beyond their maximum operating depth ratings. If the sphere would operate at 11,000 meters, testing occurred at 12,000 meters equivalent pressure. Overpressure testing identifies weaknesses before they matter, reveals failure modes in controlled environments rather than during dives when failure means death. The philosophy: better to destroy a vessel in testing than trust untested engineering with human lives. Finite element analysis calculations determined titanium hull wall thickness needed to withstand depth pressures plus safety margins. Computers modeled stress distribution across spherical surfaces, identified concentration points where forces accumulated, calculated exactly how much material thickness provided adequate strength. The calculations weren't guesswork or estimation, they were physics expressed through mathematics. Predictions validated through material testing and ultimately through successful dives. The fundamental challenge remained constant, creating a sphere capable of withstanding over 1,000 atmospheres while maintaining enough interior space for 2 humans. Life support equipment, observation ports, and ballast control systems. Every component added weight. Every weight addition reduced buoyancy margin. Every design decision involved trade-offs between capability, safety, and feasibility. The vessel Piccard and Walsh trusted with their lives represented countless hours of engineering optimization, each decision justified through calculation and testing. Modern U-boat warks titanium hulls, enabling submersibles to operate beyond 3,000 meters, demonstrate how far manufacturing precision has advanced since Trieste construction. But the principles remain identical: material purity, weld integrity, pressure testing, mathematical validation. Technology improves, but physics doesn't negotiate. January 23, 1960, arrived with commitment to maximum depth attempt. Previous dives had established procedures, tested systems, validated equipment. Now came the test that mattered, proving theoretical capability through actual achievement. Piccard and Walsh entered Trieste's pressure sphere, secured the hatch, signaled readiness. Ballast released. The bathyscaphe began descending. Descent required over 4 hours, not rapid plunge, but controlled sinking. Monitoring systems continuously, watching for problems that would force abort. Unlike surface vessels where you can pull over and assess issues, deep submersibles offer binary choices: surface immediately or continue descending. No middle ground exists when you're kilometers underwater. Darkness consumed them beyond shallow waters. Sunlight penetrates perhaps 200 meters in optimal conditions. Beyond that, absolute blackness. The kind of darkness that makes you question whether your eyes function. Occasional bioluminescent flashes punctuated the void, organisms generating light chemically. Advertisements or warnings or communication in an environment permanently deprived of sun. Communications remained limited to acoustic signals. Radio waves don't propagate through water effectively. Sound travels better but offers limited bandwidth, primitive compared to surface radio. As depth increased, isolation intensified. They descended beyond quick rescue capability, beyond easy abort depth, into zones where they relied entirely on Trieste's engineering and their own preparation. Temperature inside the sphere dropped despite surrounding water's relative warmth. Metal conducts heat efficiently. Cold seeps through pressure hull despite insulation, reminding occupants that they're tourists in environment evolved to kill mammals. Every hour of descent increased stakes. Every kilometer deeper reduced bailout options. They reached Challenger Deep at approximately 11,000 meters, 10,908 meters by precise measurement. The deepest charted point in Earth's oceans. Deeper than Mount Everest is tall. Pressure exceeding 1,000 atmospheres. Forces that would crush unprotected human bodies into paste within seconds. Through the porthole, tiny window barely larger than dinner plate, they observed ocean floor. Sediment. Darkness. And then, movement. A flatfish, swimming across the bottom. Life existed where theories suggested only sterility. The observation lasted 20 minutes, but those minutes rewrote understanding of life's boundaries. If organisms survived here, at maximum pressure and zero sunlight, where else might life persist? What other seemingly sterile environments might harbor unexpected ecosystems? IT flatfish represented more than biological curiosity. It validated that Earth's oceans harbored surprises, that exploration revealed rather than merely confirmed, that reaching frontiers taught lessons worth the risk. 20 minutes of observation justified years of preparation, millions of dollars in funding, careers risked on single dive. Then came ascent, 5 hours rising through darkness, pressure gradually decreasing, stakes slowly lowering. The dive that changed oceanography lasted roughly 10 hours total, 5 descending, 20 minutes at bottom, 5 ascending. Brief window of observation proving capabilities that would shape deep-sea exploration for generations. The B depth record Piccard and Walsh established stood for 52 years, remarkable longevity for any exploration achievement. Not until James Cameron's 2012 DEEPS-EA Challenger solo dive did anyone repeat the feat of reaching Challenger Deep. The half-century gap reveals how difficult the challenge remained despite advancing technology. Cameron's descent took 2 hours 36 minutes versus Trieste's longer journey, evidence of improved materials, better engineering, enhanced capabilities. Modern submersibles benefit from decades of materials science advancement, computer-aided design, manufacturing precision that Trieste's builders could only imagine. Yet the fundamental challenge remained identical, creating a vessel capable of surviving 1,000 atmospheres while keeping human occupants alive. DEEPSE Challenger reached 10,908 meters in 2012, nearly identical depth to Trieste's 1960 achievement. The similarity reveals something crucial. Both dives targeted Earth's deepest accessible point. Subsequent attempts weren't about going deeper nowhere deeper exists, but about demonstrating that private individuals could achieve what once required government funding and military resources. The philosophical shift matters more than technical improvements. Trieste represented Cold War competition, military funding, institutional backing. DEEPSE Challenger represented private exploration, individual vision, filmmakers' curiosity driving technological development. The transition from military-funded achievement to private exploration mirrors patterns in space access. Government proves concept. Private enterprise operationalizes capability. Modern submersibles, incorporating hyperspectral cameras and photogrammetry, demonstrate how exploration tools evolve. Hyperspectral cameras record light intensity across wavelengths between 378 and 800 nanometers, capturing information invisible to human eyes. Photogrammetry enables three-dimensional high-resolution models, achieving centimeter-scale resolution for seabed mapping. These technologies weren't available to Piccard and Walsh, yet their dive validated that human presence enabled observations instruments alone couldn't replicate. 3. That flatfish observation exemplifies why trained human observers matter. Cameras might have captured images, but would automated systems recognize significance? Would algorithms understand that swimming fish at maximum depth challenged prevailing theories? Piccard and Walsh's real-time assessment. Immediate recognition of importance. These required human judgment, biological training, contextual understanding that sensors lack. Every full ocean depth vehicle built since Trieste owes debt to Piccard and Walsh's successful dive. They proved the concept worked. They demonstrated that careful preparation, systematic testing, and calculated risk taking enabled access to any ocean environment. Subsequent designers refined rather than revolutionized, improving upon validated foundation rather than starting from theoretical speculation. The enduring paradox remains: reaching Earth's deepest point required leaving Earth's surface entirely dependent on engineering. No survival skills matter at 11,000 meters. No human physical capability provides any advantage. Survival depends absolutely on collective technical competence. Welders executing perfect joints, metallurgists ensuring material purity, engineers calculating stress distributions correctly, inspectors catching every flaw. Individual courage means nothing without institutional precision. Piccard and Walsh understood this entering Trieste. They trusted mathematics, material science, quality control processes. Their descent demonstrated that some frontiers demand surrendering individual autonomy to collective capability, accepting that reaching absolute limits requires faith in systems rather than personal strength. The dive's legacy transcends depth records. It proved that engineering enables access to environments fundamentally hostile to human biology, that calculation defeats intuition, that frontiers yield to systematic preparation rather than bold improvisation. Life at Challenger Deep existed because Piccard and Walsh risked their lives to witness it. Every subsequent discovery of unexpected life in extreme environments traces inspiration back to that 20-minute observation proving theories wrong. The parallel biosphere at our planet's ocean floor became accessible not through biological adaptation, but through technological innovation, humans borrowing capability from engineering rather than evolution.